Hi, Stacey here, and welcome to our first edition of Double Declutter. As you may remember, our viewers and the universe decided that I should upcycle the box of glass, which used to be a Fenton punch bowl that my grandma gave me, and it fell off a shelf like 20 years ago and smashed. So I'm going to take the pieces and make it into a wind chime. So let's get started. And don't forget, safety first. Wear gloves and our goggles. So the first thing I did is sand all the pieces so that they were safe to use. Again, I'm using my safety gloves and my goggles too, even though you can't see them in the video here. I laid the pieces out to determine their placement, and then I started to sand the gorgeous flower shape, which is going to be the top of the wind chime. Now it's time to drill holes in the pieces so I can hang them from the wind chime. I have a drill bit and some diamond bits that have to be used wet, and I got started. And then the problem started. This glass is a 1/2 inch thick at the most and some 1/4 inch thick, and each hole took freaking forever. It was killing my hand, like an hour or more per hole. It was brutal. I do not recommend. I think if you're going to do a project like this, you really need better equipment than what I had. Probably specialized drill bits. It did work eventually, but it took forever. At one point, one of the bits completely broke, and also little pieces would chip off, and I'd have to start the hole over. It was not fun. Okay, now that I have some pieces ready to go and drilled, finally, it's time to string them together. So I'm using fishing line, which is very strong and also transparent, so it doesn't show up that visibly. I'm using a really long piece for the top piece of glass, and I'm going to string it through the hole and then tie it in a bunch of knots so it's really secure. Now I'm going to take another piece of fishing line and string it through the second hole and knot it a bunch of times like I did before. And then I'm going to string some pink beads that I got at the craft store on that string. And then after I do that, I'm going to tie the string to the second piece of glass. So I repeated that process with the other piece on the end of that strand, and then I made 2 more strands of 3 pieces separated by beads, and it ended up with these, which I think turned out really gorgeous. And you can see how pretty the beads are there. What do you think, Alice? What do you think? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it? This is probably a bad idea, right? It's a bad idea, right? Why didn't you play with this? It's a bad idea, right? Oh, yeah. Bad idea. Now it's time to attach the strands to the top of the wind chime. I was initially going to drill holes in the flower top like I did before and tie the strands on, but I was really afraid of it breaking because of those little pieces that broke off, and I didn't want that to happen. So instead I'm using E6000 Premium and gluing the fishing line onto the flower with the long ends hanging out the top so I can tie it off later. Once that dried, I held it up and it seemed strong, but I felt like it needed a little more stability. So I put some air-dried clay in the top and kind of maneuvered it around the string so it would hold it a little better, and I glued that in with more of that E6000 Premium. Finally, I took 2 split reins and tied the fishing line around it, knotting it a whole bunch of times, and then I took another little piece and tied it around the top to keep the reins together so that it could be used to hang on a hook on my porch. So here's the finished result hanging on my porch. Was it worth it? Well, it did turn out really beautifully, and it was nice to use that glass for something. However, it was very difficult, and in the future, I would use better tools. As you can see, I left the Fenton label on there to honor the original piece and my grandma who gave it to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and join us next time. Bye!